experienced all kinds, even your kind. So this afternoon I'm going to talk a little bit about how dogs learn. So when you go to your training classes, hopefully you can walk away with a few tips that might help you understand why your dog is doing what he's doing. First thing I'm going to talk about is the 3 laws of learning. The 3 laws are, number 1, rewarded behavior will repeat. Okay? That means good behavior or bad behavior. If the dog likes to jump up on you and you reward that, whether it's intentional or unintentional, he will repeat it. If he's pulling on leash and you reward pulling on leash, which the dog will self-reward because he gets to go where he wants to go, so he is getting rewarded, that behavior repeats. Number 2 law of learning, ignored behavior stops. If you ignore a bad behavior, that behavior will stop. I know that's hard, but it's true. So if the dog is jumping up and you ignore that behavior, it's no longer rewarding. The dog will stop that bad behavior. If your dog's pulling on leash, you become a tree and ignore that bad behavior. Guess what? Dogs don't pull trees down. Dog's going to stop pulling. The 3rd law of learning. Now this one's a tough one. Listen. Variable rewards strengthen the behavior when a behavior is in place. Variable rewards strengthen the behavior when a behavior is in place. If a dog is allowed to jump up on you when you're in your old clothes, but when you're all dressed up, you don't want him jumping on you. Okay, the behavior in place is jumping up. But if sometimes you say, yes, you can, and sometimes, no, you can't, guess what? The dog's going to repeat the behavior because it's rewarding. He gets your attention. A lot of what your dog learns is he feeds off of what you're doing. So if you ignore the bad behaviors, reward the good behaviors, you will have a good dog. And that's tough because remember, your dog is constantly learning. So it does not matter whether you're home, not home, out on the street, in your home, your dog is still learning. He's got all the time in the world to figure things out. And even when you first bring him home and he's 8 weeks old, he's learning. So be conscious of what you teach. The components of learning a behavior, these are the ABCs of learning. You have an antecedent, which is a cue, something that comes before the behavior. So whether you're teaching him to sit or down or come, there is something that needs to happen just before that that will get that behavior. So once that antecedent is in place, maybe you're calling his name, jumping up and down, he's got an opinion. Then you will get the behavior. So the dog will do something. When that dog does something, there will be consequences. What happens directly after the behavior? And what happens, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, will determine whether the dog will repeat that behavior. So now we get back to that law of learning. Everything, all your interactions with your dog is an association. So getting sort of what is rewarding to the dog. Remember, these are the canine rewards, not your rewards or what you think is rewarding. Quite often people will tell me, oh, well, my dog loves to be petted. And then I see them petting the dog and the dog's kind of going, don't really like that. So you have to really look at your dog to figure out, is he really enjoying what's happening to him at that point or not? There are several ways of doing associative learning. Basically, when your dog is learning something, he has a first impression, just like we do. If we go to a party and we meet somebody for the first time, we have a first impression of that person. Either we like them, or next time we may not want to talk to them. Just because, for no other reason, it's just we either click or we don't click. Dogs are the same. They have a first impression. Today, all these dogs, they're meeting other dogs for the first time, and they are forming a first impression. You notice that in most cases, when the two dogs meet, they don't greet every other dog exactly the same way. Sometimes they look at the nose, sometimes they sniff the butt first, sometimes they look and look and look and then jump in to greet. They greet the dogs in different ways. And then what happens after that, that association will determine whether the dog's going to repeat and what he's learned. For example, a common problem, you're walking along the street and you see another person with their dog coming. And you go, oh no, I don't know what my dog's going to do. And you tighten up on the leash and you go, oh, I think my dog's going to bark or my dog's going to jump and that person's not going to like it and I don't know what to do. Guess what that dog just learned? That you are afraid of that dog that's coming and that person. So what kind of association is your dog going to have to people coming towards him or to dogs coming towards him? The more times you tighten up on that leash, choke up on that collar, that person coming, that dog's going to say, hey, that's a bad person coming, that's a bad dog coming, I'm going to attack it, I'm going to bark at it. I'm working with a Springer Spaniel right now. That's what happened, is they would walk along the street and they would see a dog and they'd expect the worst. They tightened up on that leash. And the Springer just, anytime a dog came close, it was like, get away from me, get away, I don't like you, go away, go away. Okay? We put that dog on a harness, and we let the leash out so that the dog had more freedom to communicate with other dogs. Guess what? That stopped. That dog can actually walk up and greet people now. Now we've had to desensitize the dog and work with it. It's taken a few weeks. She's great with people. Dogs, it's a hit and miss, but she's getting better and better and better. So within 6 to 7 weeks, and with the owner's hard work, we've changed that on-leash aggression to being a decent dog. So these are associative behaviors that dogs are learning, and sometimes you have to desensitize them slowly and build the confidence of the dog and the behavior you're expecting. Dogs learn by the consequences. Remember, we had the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence. So consequences, giving a treat, giving a scratch, allowing them to do something. If you walk nice on leash all the way to the dog park, you'll get to go off leash and run and play with the other dogs. You have to look at, there's food rewards, there's play, you can use a toy as a reward, interaction with you, remember, ignoring the bad behavior and then allowing the dog to interact with you is a reward. Environmental behaviors, getting to play, getting to dig, getting to play with another dog, getting to sniff that tree. Those are all wonderful rewards. It doesn't always have to be food. Puppies see the world in two ways. What's safe and good for me and what's dangerous or bad. So if your puppy or your dog only experiences bad things, no, stop that, don't do that, get down, stop, whack, whack. What is your dog learning? What is your dog expecting? If that's the only reward that dog ever sees, that's the behavior you're rewarding. That's the behavior you're going to get. Because dogs, they like to get the positive things. They would like to get a happy face from you. They would like to play with you. But if the only thing they get from you is punishment or being ignored, they'll take the punishment. If you have any questions, my